to get it to work. Oh, god damn, that was stressful. Yeah, Minecraft didn't work. It crashed like 3 times, so rather than wait like for another 10-20 minutes, I just decided to play some Dear Esther. I have to play this game because I'm doing a playthrough. I'm doing a review of the Machine for Pigs. Wait. Audio. Enabled, please.
I've lost track of how long I...
Where's my subtitles? Wait, language. Yeah, English, controller, video. Done. Audio. Large captions enabled. Closed captions, large captions. These are like subtitles, right?
Been here, and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly, the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me.
Eggplant capper.
Blind
oh,
these rocks.
we've got a light.
Precipices without fear of missing.
Where's my subtitles? Exactly. Why is there no subtitles? I want subtitles so I can talk over it. But what are captions? I got these closed and large captions. There is no other. There's nothing else here. Video advanced. Nope. All right.
Nothing down to see.
Whatever.
Besides, I've always
we've got like a light coming from our crotch too. I like that.
Firmly open.
Oh, left click is to zoom in. Okay. So how do I interact with the environment? Oh wait, this is Dear Esther. Of course you can't do that. So what did he say? Oh, this is a chemical compound of some kind. It's pretty cool. You can't go any faster than this. By the way, I wonder, can I? Oh, I can use my controller. Actually, this would be a lot easier. All right, so that's how you do that. All the buttons just zoom in. They don't do anything else. All right. Hopefully, next time he speaks, there will be subtitles. I assume that's how it works. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing here. Oh, look at this, sea? The sea's nice. So, there's a lighthouse, which is pretty cool. There's a boat. Alright. I feel like we're shipwrecked, I think. Is there really nothing here? Okay. I guess we'll just keep going then. Yeah, this is going to be like a walking simulator, so I'm gonna have to like really try to take over with the commentary as much as I can. Oh, there's barbed wire? Can't hurt myself on that. Can I jump to my death? Oh, I can. Okay, let's not do that. I don't want to start all the way at the beginning again. It is a pretty game though. But, yeah. Can I still just barely? Cool. They really should, fix that. I feel like that's an OHS. Oh, there we go. There's my subtitles. Holy shit, they're huge.
Who sought solitude in its most pure form.
Okay.
Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so
without a
creatures
bottom?
of the sea could rise
How can he fly?
to converse with him.
If he doesn't
How
have a bottom.
disappointed he
Why
must have
can't I
been
get
with
my
that chapter.
flashlight out here?
Perhaps
Oh, well.
now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more
There's
peace.
a lot
They say
of
he
dialogue.
threw his arms wide in a
Bullshit.
valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter.
Okay.
They say he died of fever 116 years later.
Oh, F.
The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have
Wait a
seen
second. He died of a fever
him. I have visited
116
the
years
cave and
later?
I have left my
What?
gifts, but like them, I appear to
Glad
be
I'm paying
the
attention.
subject
Why
of his
can't I-
solitude.
Can I just... I wanna... Just... Oh no. Oh no. I think we might have broken our ankle. Okay. Well, that sucks. He died 116 years later. I had to like process that a little. So does that mean he survived, like he was full on like cast away for 116 years and he died of a fever because he was like old and wrinkly and like, you know, probably has Alzheimer's at the age of 116. He would well, that actually he would be older, wouldn't he? Because he lived here and lived for 116 years.
Your mother told me a hush
so
fell
he
over
would
the
be much
delivery
older than that.
A great red bird.
That's not a bad life.
Side of your face.
You know?
No one knew what to say, so you cried to fill the vacuum.
Okay.
I always admired you for that. That you cried to fill whatever vacuum you found.
Yeah, that's my life actually.
Vacuums, just to enable you to deploy your talent. The birthmark faded by the time
the
you were
talent
6,
of crying in the
completely
vacuum.
by the time we met, but your fascination with the empty and its cure remained.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a good gift of crying out into vacuums. Yeah, it's I'm not too sure if that's a good gift though. I would rather anything else, like a superpower, something like that. My finger is already like getting a little bit sore from having to
a wonderful sight.
Walk
The moon
for thousands
just
of
in the
years.
junction between the cliff path and the stone circle.
Okay.
It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach. All
But
the
it
world
does?
as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
I don't see a shadow. Okay. I guess I'm just stupid. So apparently a lot of these like sounds and dialogue is randomly generated. I'm not too sure how that happens, but you know, that's cool. I do like random generation in video games, especially if you want to have it, you know, be replayed over and over. I'm not too sure if there is replayability in this game,
so
though.
ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice. They cut
Okay.
parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath.
Oh yeah, you can see
You
that.
could
Look
see
at that.
them from the mainland or
White
fishing
chalk
boats,
underneath.
and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection.
Okay.
Wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff
What does
path
pestilence
died
mean?
along with its hosts.
I don't know.
My lines are just for this. To keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Oh, there's an infection. Okay. But yeah, what I only know pestilence from the, you know, SCP guy. You know, the doctor. He's talking about pestilence all the time. I'm not too sure what the actual definition of the word is. Babble, I'm gonna need to play Fortnite with you so I can teach you how to play. Yeah? I would be game for that.
A motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear.
Fortnite's free to play,
enough
right?
men
I can
not
just
brought
go and
amongst
download it.
Despite their tedious inclination
Might do that
to
tomorrow.
quote scripture, they seem to be
Maybe.
the most
We'll have to
godforsaken
see.
of all the inhabitants of the outer
Oh,
isle.
I thought I could
Indeed,
run,
in
but
this
no.
case, the very gravity of
Just,
that term, forsaken by God, seems to find it very
Just zooming
apex.
in and out.
It appears to me
Okay.
that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
I wasn't pretty paying much attention. There's a lot of, you know, sophisticated words, and I'm not smart, you know. I like my vocabulary, you know, short and sweet, and the lexicon that I use to be purely simple for little brains like me to process. Oh, and there's like a cute little cave over there too.
Dear
It
Esther,
almost looks kind of suggestive.
I met Paul.
Okay, actually don't say that.
I made my own little pilgrimage.
Look at that little butthole there.
My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton.
Ooh.
We drank
want
coffee in his
some
kitchen
coffee
and
now.
tried to connect to one another.
There is a lot of
Although he knew I hadn't come in search
wrecked
of an
boats
apology,
here, despite the
reason, or
lighthouses.
retribution.
There's
He
two,
still
I think.
spiraled
Isn't
in
there? There's
panic,
one there and
thrown
there's one
high
there.
and lucid by his own dented
Okay.
bonnet. Responsibility had made him old.
Yeah.
Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
He already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. So he's dead? Is that
I find
literally
myself increasingly
okay.
unable to find that point where the hermit ends and Paul and I begin. We
What?
are woven into a sodden blanket,
Oh, look at that.
stuffed into the bottom of a boat
That
to
looks
stop
cool.
the leak and hold back the ocean. My neck aches from staring up at the aerial.
Oh, that's
It
a
mirrors the
brain
dull throb in
neuron.
my gut, where
I know
I'm
that
sure
because
I've
I'm
begun
smart
to
enough.
form another stone. In my dreams, it forms into a perfect representation of Lot's wife, head over
Okay.
her shoulder, staring along the motorway at the approaching traffic in a vacuum of fatalistic calm.
What is this? It looks like a 5-year-old's drawing of their imaginary friend. Oh, that's also a neuron. I know that because I'm smart. And that's a I think that's just basic. That's just a tree, isn't it? That has to be just a tree. Either that or it's like a weird neuron that I don't know about. It's cool. It's yeah, it's pretty cool. I wonder how the boss fight's gonna be like in this game. Can you imagine if this game actually had a boss fight? That would definitely be. Is that person? I can't tell if that person singing is actually in real life or not. Wait a sec. No, it's in the game. Okay, that was a bit creepy. I thought someone was like singing behind me for a second. Then I was like, wait, is my like roommate singing, or am I just going a little bit crazy? Okay. Oh, and there's like a cute little stream. The music is pretty nice though. I know a lot about the person who made this music, by the way. Jessica Curry. I'm doing in-depth analysis on the people that were behind the Machine for Pigs, and I know Jessica Curry and Dan Pinchbeck were
I've become
both
convinced I'm not alone here. Even though I'm
co-creators of
equally
this
sure
game.
it is simply a delusion brought
And
about
Jessica
by
Curry
circumstance. I do not, for instance, remember
made all the
where
music,
I found the
I
candle,
believe.
or why I took it upon
Yeah.
myself to light such a strange pathway. It is only for those who are bound to
Yeah,
follow.
this is a very academically made game. You can tell because of the symbols back there, and I don't know. I don't know how to commentate over this game. It's like a game that you have to kind of slow down and kind of look at, but that's not usually the game for me. I like horror games. So, well, not at the moment because I wanted to play something that wasn't horror. You have to keep it fresh or you get burnt out. Even though I want to play horror right now, I know if I do, I'll just... It just contributes to my being burnt outness, you know? Oh, and hey, Flying Predator, how are you today? We're playing some, The Ether. It's pretty... It's, something. It's definitely something, you can tell. But, I don't know how to categorize this game. It's just, not a lot of interactivity. It's like, you know, a mix of the narrative of
the M5
My Life is
between Exeter and
Strange,
Bristol
but
21 times.
a whole,
But
like,
although I
a
have all
step
the
back
reports
from
and all
that
the
in terms of
witnesses, and
gameplay.
I've cross-referenced them within a millimeter using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location.
Oh, I'm playing. I thought this was the cutscene.
To serve as some evidence.
Okay.
It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome break services.
Oh yeah, I hope you have I hope you're having a great day today.
I have as yet
Again,
been
Flying
unable to
Predator.
pull ashore.
Oh, and oh, cool! Look at that. There's another ship that's crashed over here. I'm also not too certain on like how much of this game is randomly generated and how much is like set in stone. I think I heard that the narrative is also generated, like randomly generated. So if it is, that's pretty cool. but I don't know how someone would be able to do that. Unless there's like plot lines that they, make for this game and just randomly generate between those. But yeah, this game started off as a mod, and there was actually Dan Pinchbeck made one mod before this one. It was called the Conscientious Objector. So a lot of stuff that he learnt from that is definitely, exemplified here, like the whole go from one room to the other to experience like the gameplay. Well, experience the story, not the gameplay, really. There's no gameplay here to be had, but there is a story, and I'm like slowly running out of things to say about this game. And take that for what you will. It's just definitely a game that takes a while for anything interesting to really happen. Yeah, as I said before, this type of game might just not be for me. And that's definitely fine. If you like this type of game, that's, there's a lot of people that enjoyed this game, but yeah, I'm struggling so much.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
What? Hermits? What's this? I can't read. So is that it? Alright, I have to backtrack now. I'm in Swubba-lub-dub-dub. I'm so sorry. I am now lost. I feel like there could be something over here. Let's go check it out. Nope. Okay. The lack of interactivity is definitely a point that I want to address when it relates to the Machine for Pigs. Because I see a kind of trend with Dan Pinchbeck and his games. They tend to stray far away from user interactivity.
Stones, and you visited me in the hospital.
That's cool.
After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Rendered opaque by the car of a drunk. So he just got like ran over and just got like pulverized or something like that? I don't know. I also don't like abstract games too much. Abstract anything I don't quite enjoy. I kind of see a lot of abstract stuff as a means for artists to kind of mask the fact that they've got no story to tell you. A lot of bad indie, like horror for example, does that, where they just like put like fucking weird imagery on the screen and just rely on you not being able to decipher what they're saying to deliver a half-assed story and make it feel like, there's actually content there, but there's nothing. I'm not saying that that's the case here, but yeah. I like straightforward... Oh, okay. I was here before. I like straightforward stories where, I can rationalize what's happening a bit better. Alright, so we've been down there. We haven't been up here, though, I think. Oh. I wish I could just get, like, an elastic band and just, band the moving up arrow, the moving up stick, so I don't actually have to do anything. That's one less interaction I have with this game, though, so I'm not gonna do it. especially when this game is so devoid of any actual interaction. But yeah, I feel like this. I feel like the no interaction subgenre would be better suited for film, perhaps, or books. But that's definitely a controversial opinion. Like, there is that element of being able to explore the story at your own pace in video games that you can't get with like movies. But I feel like if you're not going to take advantage of the fact that you'll like
see the boy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me.
So he's like dying
now.
now.
Now in continuation.
Some nook or
There must
cranny.
be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny.
That's what I was
that offers a
wondering. There
perspective
must be
worth
something
clinging
new to find here.
I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats and watched them go to water.
Yeah, the narrative, the way that the narrative is delivered definitely reminds me a lot of Amnesia: The Machine for Pigs here. I just feel like the... Anyway, what was it? I'll get back into that. Like, I feel like if you're not going to take advantage of the interactivity that games offer, you're not really taking full advantage of the medium for your game. And I definitely feel like this type of gameplay is very like niche. It's definitely something that not everyone will enjoy, like me. I require. I have ADHD. Where the fuck do I go now? And the game, the walking pace is so slow. Takes like forever to get from point A to B. Alright, I'll go where this red light is showing me to go. I think we've been over there. I don't think we've been here though. But yeah, I feel like if you're not taking advantage of the interactivity that games provide, it's better for you to just make a movie. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I do feel like a strong, like a strong feeling of the Machine for Pigs when I play this game. Like the narrative delivery is very similar. And I saw a post. I read the post-mortem for Amnesia: The Machine for Pigs. One of the reasons why the creative studios, people behind Amnesia: The Dark Descent, approached the Chinese Room in the first place was because they had the same type of creative, perspective on video games, being like a,
I've begun my ascent on the green slope of the western side. I've looked deep into the mountain from the shaft and understood that I must go up and then find the way under.
I'm 5 years old.
I will stash the last vestiges of my civilization in the stone walls and work deeper from there. I'm drawn by the aerial and the cliff edge. There is some form of rebirth waiting for me there.
They both had the same, like, ideal that games are created for artistic purposes. They're created to strike a feeling in the player, and that for that I agree. But I obviously can see that, while they both agree on that, the very specifics on how to deliver narrative, how to deliver the atmosphere, the feelings, it's completely different between the Chinese Room and Creative Studio.
The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that
it's overly narrative heavy. It's very narrative heavy, this
and
game.
died 2 years after completing it.
as I said before,
There's no one
it
to
probably
path
would be
while
better
right
as a
into
book
the cliff
or
either.
a documentary-esque series, or as a movie or something, or as a movie, like a video of like a documentary of someone going into the island.
My heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light.
I don't know.
I
Or
slept
like,
fever
you
in
know...
small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass.
Oh, that's cool.
I've always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me
There's
is
a
this
bird.
Hebridean music.
I feel like, yeah, creative studio. I think that's what they're called, creative. And the Chinese Room, both, they both see, games as an artistic platform, but the way that they use it is completely not the same. So that's another point I will bring up in the review when I do a review on the Machine for Pigs, is that the way that they do things, the way that they put out experiences are in actual they in large ways they counter each other out. Like, I remember reading that the sanity mechanic in the Machine for Pigs was never even considered, aside from the infection mechanic, which was supposed to
What to make of Donnelly,
replace it.
laudanum and the syphilis?
The
It's clearly
laudanum.
not how he began, but I've been unable to
Laudanum.
discover if the former was a result
remember
of his
laudanum.
visiting the island or the force that drove him.
Whew, another hour of this.
For the syphilis, a drunk driver smashing his insides into a pulp as he stumbled these paths, I can only offer my empathy.
Oh,
All
drunk driver
victims of
died.
our age. My disease is the internal combustion engine and the cheap fermentation of
I'm probably gonna have to rewatch this stream later too to figure out what the story's about. But anyway, the sanity mechanic in Machine for Pigs was never going to be implemented. Aside from the infection mechanic, which not a lot of people
They
know
found
about,
Jacobson in
but
early spring,
it basically
before
was
it
the
only just
insanity
come.
mechanic, but
Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had
right
not
down
even
to the
begun
nerves.
to
You
decompose.
say?
His fingernails were raw and bitten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent moss that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been
Okay.
doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps
Can I just
trying
drown
to reach the
myself?
Bothy's fire before
I
curling
can.
into a stone and expiring.
Okay, let's not do that. That's kind of creepy. Anyway, the sanity mechanic was never going to be introduced aside from the infection mechanic, where monsters would like hit you, and they, rather than do damage, they'll give you like an infection that you would cure with like antibiotics and stuff like that. And they decided to remove that because it was frustrating and not intuitive enough, which is that's fair enough. But the sanity mechanic, in their words, was they didn't want to do it because they felt that the sanity mechanic was telling people how to feel, and I could not disagree more with that sentiment. Honestly, the sanity mechanic in The Dark Descent was and is a fucking amazing tool to but to control behavior. It's not there to make you feel anything. It's there to control what you can and can't do. And I will explain that in the review. But for prosperity reasons, I will
Climbing down to the
discuss
caves,
what I
slipped
mean
and
by
fell
that.
and have injured my leg.
Oh no,
The femur is broken.
clearly
It is
infected.
clearly infected.
Oh
The skin
no.
has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on
Oh, it's
waves.
getting a little bit more creepier now.
Tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose.
Okay.
They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Anyway, the sanity mechanic is... Oh, is that a dead body? No, it's just a pile of clothes. Well, finding a dead body would have been, you know, at least a little bit interesting. But no, the sanity mechanic, in my view, is supposed to punish you. It's supposed to constrict you. It's supposed to, you know, make you feel claustrophobic. Like, some people think that, oh, Daniel getting, you know, scared whenever you get like the sanity hit is supposed to tell you, oh, it's a scary scene right now, be scared. But no, I feel like that's just trying to indicate to you as a player what is you know, what you should and or shouldn't be doing. Like, for example, if you look at a monster and you see your screen like slowly like being bottled up and Daniel is like freaking out, it's telling the player like, hey, stop doing that, you're destroying your sanity. Oh, we fell. So rather than telling the player what to feel, I feel like it's more telling the player, hey, stop doing this, it's, you know, it's against the rules.
Jakobsen crawl this far?
Oh,
Can
let's
I
just
identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Okay. This is compounded by the fact that I looked in our Amnesia subreddit, where someone asked people, hey, I'm making a custom story, should I throw out the sanity mechanic? And everyone basically said, I really find the sanity mechanic frustrating and uncomfortable, etc. But even still, Amnesia wouldn't be Amnesia without it. And that made me think, like, why would something, you know, uncomfortable and frustrating still feel like it's part of the game? Oh, there's a thing down there, I think. Alright, that's cool. So that's why I feel like the sanity mechanic is not supposed to be something that you enjoy. It is a punishment tool to punish players for looking at the creatures and trying to get like familiar with the grunts, because, you know, what happens to the player when they can't, you know, when they can't look at a creature. Like, the game punishes you for doing so, so you don't get comfortable with the creature, number one. You can't, like, get a sense of familiarity, which heightens the horror. And, I mean, you do actually have to know where the creature is, too, by the way. So, it's just this... Ooh, look at that. Isn't that lovely? Let's try to go down here. Okay. So I feel... You know, this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. You know, everything else be damned, the graphics is actually really cool. But, yeah. I don't even think Machine for Pigs is a bad game, but I feel like the loss of the sanity mechanic and the loss of, you know, the lantern mechanic definitely hurts the game. Now, sanity, again, to quickly summarize, it's there to punish the player for looking at the monster, it's there to stop the player from, you know, being familiar with the monster, and it also is subtly hiring the player from, you know, one room to the next. And it also, I would argue, emphasizes safe rooms a whole lot better. Like, when you're in a dark place, you get, like, slowly insane. And then suddenly, this huge lighted area comes into view. You're like, this is safety. I feel like it telegraphs to the player when they are safe a whole lot more, because darkness feels more constrictive, and the absence of darkness, i.e. light, is more pronounced because of that. I'm not too sure if I'm making any sense. Yeah, shout at me if I'm not. Second problem is there is nothing to collect in Machine for Pigs. The environment is less interactive as well. It borrows a lot from this game, where almost nothing is interactive, aside from maybe a couple things. I mean, I did a tally in Machine for Pigs. The first area is like only like 30 or so things that you could interact with, but in Dark Descent there was a whole lot more in the same amount of time.
I am traveling through my own body, following the line of infection from the shattered femur towards the heart. I swallow fistfuls of painkillers to stay lucid. In my delirium, I see the twin lights of the moon and the aerial shining to me through the rocks.
But yeah, it disincentivizes people to explore the world around them, because why bother? There is really nothing to gain to explore. All right, let's go down here. Okay, we can't go down there. I do love the reflections here. It's really cool. But yeah, the lack of having to restock your lantern, having to like restock your sanity with Ladadium, all of it. God damn it, why did I go down here? Now it's like 10 times more annoying. I can't see. At least like you can't see through the water like you could in Slenderman: The Arrival. This is a whole lot more realistic, which is good. Alright, I just wanna get out of the stream so I stop moving so goddamn slow. But yeah. I feel like the mechanics of Machine for Pigs disincentivizes people to explore. Like, obviously you do need to explore in some areas because there are quote-unquote of puzzles, which I was really disappointed with in the Machine for Pigs. I didn't say it in the Let's Play, but the puzzles quote-unquote off in the Machine for Pigs really disappointed me. Why? Because they did exactly... It's weird. They don't copy what worked in the Dark Descent, but they copied the fucking, the acid lock puzzle. They copied the elevator. They copied the fucking, hallucinations that you have to go through in that game. They copied all of that when they really didn't have to. I mean, the hallucinations are... I don't have a favorable view on them because I feel like it just stops gameplay for too long. And it's a classic... I feel like it is more of an example of telling rather than showing. But I mean, I don't know. To me, it feels like those slow cutscenes is just infuriating, but whatever. The thing that I'm mostly
Behold the
mad
hand
about
you
is the
offered to me.
puzzles.
From the summit down to this well, into the dark waters,
It
where the
looks
small flowers
like
creep from the
delightful,
sun.
doesn't it? Just drink that up
Headlights
right
are
now.
reflected in your retinas,
Ooh, look at that.
moonlit in the shadow of the crematorium chimney.
Like, they did. I got a document on Google documenting the puzzles, like how they basically copied and pasted the puzzles from the Dark Descent, which contradicts their post-mortem. There was a guy that was in development for the Machine for Pigs. He did a post-mortem of the game, and he's like trying to explain away why fans of the Dark Descent really didn't like this game, and I agree with some of these things that he said. Anyway, they said that they wanted to create an experience that was centered in the Dark Descent, but in their own words, they said they wanted to create an experience that people from the Dark Descent couldn't draw from, like, that people couldn't draw their experiences from Dark Descent to complete their game, which is, I don't really know why they did that, or they had that type of ethos, because, like, why? You're creating a sequel of the game. It obviously has to feel at least a little bit like, the old game. Like, one of the reasons why in BioShock they still have, they have the same feel. BioShock 1 and 2 have the same feel to them. And changing how the game feels in between, like, imagine, for example, if BioShock went from, like, BioShock 1 to something that's more of a this. Like, the game would be good. This game isn't bad, I'm not saying that, but it wouldn't be a BioShock game. I feel like that's basically what happened with the Dark Descent, or Amnesia, I should say. I feel like I'm drowning. Alright, let's try to move on. Okay. Like, it's not bad, but it's not the Dark Descent. It's not Amnesia. There's no, Also, quick fact for you. The Machine for Pigs wasn't supposed to be a full-on project initially. It was supposed to be like a 3 to 4 hour, like, experiment. But, in production, they got kind of carried away with it, and they decided, hey, we could actually make a proper game with this. And, yeah. I am doing a lot of research into the people behind this game, by the way, so I could find out what they were like. I have, how I'm gonna break down the review is, the first section is going to be behind the scenes of the game. It's gonna show you what the development life cycle is about, what the people did before doing the game, what the people were doing during the game, what their ethos was, what the the philosophy of the game, or the general plan of the game. I'm going to cover all of that in the behind the scenes, and I'm going to talk about this in particular was a collaborative piece between creative studios and the Chinese Room. So I'm going to have to talk about their relationship during this.
Had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did
story.
I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea?
You have a lot
Who
of
fell
questions,
silently
my
to
dude.
his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
Wait, what? What was that last bit? I don't know. I feel like there's something over here. go over here first. But yeah, can I go? Oh no, I can't. Okay, well that sucks. Oh, well, fuck. Alright, we'll just continue, I guess, from here. But yeah, man. I feel like their philosophy behind the Machine for Pigs is possibly one of the reasons why I don't feel like it fit with being a sequel of The Dark Descent. And they say this too, like, in the post-mortem, they say they probably should have taken into account, like, how people who are fans of The Dark Descent would take this new direction from, you know, the Chinese room. Try not to mince words here. And they do go in depth in the he does in the post-mortem of the game, which I am forever thankful for. It makes my job a whole lot easier to tell the behind-the-scenes shit. What even is this? Oh, cool, we get to see... like someone's playing tic-tac-toe on the side of this mountain here. That's pretty cool. What else? As I said before, music is beautiful. Music in the Machine for Pigs is also equally pretty good. I don't think I had any issues with it. And definitely listening to the soundtrack outside the game, it is like the composer did her job correctly. I don't think the music or the ambience of the game is to blame at all for its lack of Amnesia feel. It definitely feels like it fits. I will have to
I returned home,
review it a little bit more, but
ash.
that's how I feel at the
Half of it fell out of my
moment.
coat and vanished into the car's upholstery. But the rest,
Alright.
I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding
Okay.
the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, we will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed.
Okay. That's very poetic. And I also feel maybe they didn't have a lot of time to adjust themselves to writing a less abstract game. A lot of people say that the story for the Machine for Pigs is pretty solid. I have to close this door. People are talking outside my window. Okay, I'm back. Just some people talking outside my window, and this obviously is a problem. Okay. What time is it? It's like half an hour until I leave. Okay. What was that? But yeah, I will have to play through a lot of the games that Dan Pinchbeck has made, excluding the more recent ones.
There were chemical diagrams on the
course.
mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook.
Okay.
He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of
I
Wolverhampton.
love the
Been
candles.
travelling back from a sales
They were a little
conference in
bit
Exeter,
before I came
forming
here.
a strategic vision
like
for
a
the
ghost
peddling of
that just
antacid
candles
yogurt to
everywhere.
the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
Okie dokie. But yeah, I feel like the direction for Machine for Pigs was a bit... that sounds like there looks like there's story to be had there, but I don't wanna.
From here, I can see my armada.
Armada?
I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach.
Okay.
Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting,
Excuse me?
I set the
You
fleet to sail.
folded me into what?
Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic.
On a
And I
sudden
sat
light
here
from
until
heaven.
I'd watched all of you sink.
Is that a... I think that's birds. Bird eggs. Trying to raise some birds over here, I think. So, these docks seem to indicate that there was... There's no way to... Wait, is there... Keyboard, mouse. Edit... Fucking... Edit key... zoom in... No, literally can't do anything. Okay, I thought there would be a crouch at least, but nope. What's that? Oh, these are like paper boats. The thing that he was like talking about. Okay, that's cool. Love how they're still like, you know, floating. But yeah, I do say that the way that this game feels, it feels like the Machine for Pigs almost exactly. Of course, Machine for Pigs is kind of masquerading behind like some chase scenes, some like scripted chase scenes, which is awful. And of course, like
A sound of torn metal, teeth
Wait,
running
sorry.
over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal as I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, or my mind as a bypass.
Okay. As I was saying before, if it wasn't a scripted cutscene, it was basically all you had to do was sidestep the pigs, and you could just keep going from there. The man pigs from the Machine for Pigs is laughable at best. The AI, you know, bugged out for me sometimes, and it didn't really feel like I was getting chased. The man pigs, they gave up way too easily. There was no way to hide either, so there was
begun
never
my
a
voyage
point
in
of
a
time where I
paper boat
felt
without a
like
bottom.
my life was at
I'd
stake,
fly to the moon
basically.
in it.
I
I've
don't
been
know what this
folded
guy's
along a
talking
creasing
about,
time,
honestly.
a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation.
Yeah,
When we become
there's a lot of
cage disintegrates,
vocabulary here.
we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing story-wise in this game. The only thing that I can recall is like a guy dying at the age of 116 plus. Probably died at age like 120 at the very least. Wait, no, he probably died
Only Donnelly had experienced this.
134 at the
Would have
least.
realized he was his own shoreline, as am I.
Wait, what does that mean?
As I am becoming this island, so he became his.
Oh yeah, and we also have
Cheating
the
into the burning
steam
synapses, the stones,
stuff.
the infection.
Wait a sec. Offline. There we are. I don't want it to... Oh, it's dark now. I don't want it to counter my my immersion that I'm having right now. But yeah, the Machine for Pigs and this game is basically identical. You go from one place to the next, you get story, and that's it. Which is... I'm not shitting on that, by the way. I don't feel like that's a improper way to do video games. It's not Amnesia, though. and that's what I want to come across in the review that I'm doing.
Headlights reflected in these retinas.
It's that
Too long in the tunnels of my island without a bottom.
there is definitely
Risen to the surface, but the
way
gulls
too much
are not here to
dialogue.
carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself.
Oh yeah, you
I've
still have that
become an
infected leg, don't
whose
you?
tracking lines
Kind
form
of
a
forgot
perfect
about.
map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-thigh and plummet to my Esther.
Yeah. Plummet to my Esther. Okay. Yeah, it just doesn't. This type of gameplay doesn't fit Amnesia or the Dark Descent. The Dark Descent is like claustrophobic. It's supposed to be like oppressive, but the way that Dear Esther feels. What's this? It feels more. I don't know. It still feels atmospheric. Don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't have the same feel, you know. Dark Descent is just. I don't want to go on and on about it. I'll cover it in my review that I'm doing, but the differences in the way that Dear Esther feels and how Dark Descent feels makes me feel that the Chinese Room was not the best studio to create the next sequel, the next game, I should say, also a sequel. It could also be a prequel, but anyway, the next game, I should say, for Amnesia, the Dark Descent. I don't feel like that was the correct fit. Not to say that the Chinese Room doesn't make good games.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the
Are you trying to commit
He was
Sudoku?
not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him.
What?
This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
Don't understand. So he wasn't drunk? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I can't think. I feel like the creative studios should have done it in-house. I feel like the only people who can make, sequel to the Dark Descent are people who create games like that, and I can't think of many studios that could make a sequel. Maybe, just maybe, the people behind SCP could possibly make that experience, but again, SCP, the way that game feels is very different to the Dark Descent. But if I was going to choose somebody that wasn't, the creative studios, it would have to be the people behind SCP.
Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island.
Hey, look, we're actually walking
Who was
like
Jakobsen?
decently fast
Who
now.
remembers him?
Oh, we're
Donnelly has written of him.
Oh, I
but
thought
who
we were
was
like
Donnelly?
flying for
Who
5
remembers
seconds
him?
there.
I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from it.
No,
There will be another to these
literally
shores to
no
remember me.
interactivity at all.
I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together
Without
like
bottom.
a stone, become an aerial, a beacon that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me.
Are you
They will
just
leave
going to
white
jump?
lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help
Oh,
will be
he's
sent.
committing Sudoku. Oh, he's gonna commit Sudoku. Yep, he's committing Sudoku right now. Oh, can we do a flip? I can't do a flip. Okay. Wow, the trajectory for this seems to be a bit off. And, you know, weirdly enough, it is taking forever to reach the bottom here. Oh, we're a bird! Suddenly. Were we a bird all this time? Wait, that can't be true. We were holding a flashlight. Unless we were maybe that's why the flashlight was, you know, emanating from our crotch. Because we were a bird and we were like holding the flashlight with our talon. Maybe that's why we were walking so slow too. Because we were a fucking bird and we didn't know how to fly until now apparently. Still can't like move or anything, so I'll have to let this thing play out. But yeah, as I said before, the main problem I have with this game is it doesn't feel like a game. It feels like a movie, or it feels like, you know, a book or an audio book. I feel like that this experience would be better suited for that. But as I said before, that's, you know, controversial. A lot of people would, and you know, still believe that the only way to get the experience that this game delivers is to have it as an actual game. So I won't make that point in the review. But what point I will make is the way that Dan Pinchbeck makes these games is not ideal for a game set it in Amnesia's world, I should say. I feel like the Chinese Room should do what they do best, which is this type of game. And the creative studios should do what they do best, which is, you know, Amnesia, Soma, Penumbra. All these are great games. I feel like the way that they make games and how they make their games feel, you know, just separate, just not the same, not equivalent. But anyway, that will be it for today. If I say any more, I might as well not redo the review. That's got to come out one day in the future. Okay, here's the main menu. So I've officially like done this game. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time, where I probably will do Fortnite or UCN. We'll have to see. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.